I'm currently in Seoul, standing in front of the Yongsan Electronics Market, which, according to the internet, is in a bit of a state of decay. But I don't know, from the outside, this place looks pretty wild. So let's go in there and see what kind of gaming PCs and just general tech you can buy here. We also check out another electronics market on the other end of the city, which genuinely blew my mind, and bought a $1,000 gaming system. But before then, today's video is sponsored by Be Quiet's new Lightwings LX fans. A more budget-focused version of the amazing Be Quiet Lightwings that still got it where it counts, like its performance and dazzling lighting. Wow. My favorite thing about them is that they use a standard 3-pin daisy-chainable RGB connector, so you don't need to buy a hub to use them, furthering their wallet-friendly nature. So if this sounds good to you, click on the link down below to get some Be Quiet Lightwing LX fan action. Look at that, we've already got a pile of graphics cards glued together. I'm assuming those are empty boxes, but I don't know. Now, we haven't even gone inside yet, and I already don't know what the internet's on about. There's amazing stuff going on here. You can get a Wraith cooler for, I think that's $2. And then underneath the $2 Wraith coolers, there is a 4090 box. So I think we're gonna get some good stuff here. Once inside, there are 2 hallways of tech madness, seemingly stretching infinitely. Now, just first thing in through the front door, there's already a whole list of pre-built systems available. Now, I'll have the exchanger kind of pop up on the screen now, but it ranges from about $400 to like $1,000 for a system with an RTX 3060 in it, all the way up to like a $5,000 system with a 4090 in it. Look at that, that's a Linus system over here. Although this shelf is in front of a shop that looks very closed, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to get any of those. And then right on the other side of that, there's kind of a laptop shop with some good looking deals on gaming laptops. And look at those systems! Now, it's only taken us about 5 minutes to find a majestic waifu system. It looks awesome, with a custom loop, although it doesn't have RAM in it for some reason. Oh, never mind, it's just got a single stick in it. What? That is outrageous. That's clearly what the internet's been going on about. The first couple of shops focused on some interestingly put together showcase systems and systems for specific games, which is an interesting idea. Next to which was a shop clearly owned by a man with a deep, erotic love for fans. I have never seen such fan density before and was honestly borderline emasculated by it. I have never seen that many fans in one place. Just a wall of heavy-duty server fans. Look at all of that. And after wandering past some more shops with a whole bunch of graphics cards and custom keyboards in it, I started to notice a trend. There's seemingly a huge market for used old Alienwares. Look at that bad boy. An awesome old Alienware gaming laptop that you can buy. And there's even new ones on an Asus box. Hell yeah. More old Alienware systems. This is the 3rd shop we've seen with a bunch of them. But this shop had more to offer than just old Alienwares. Yo, this place has the sickest systems. Look at that, like, figurine in it. And then, above that, is like an open hardline system. Look at all these PCs. I think that's a one-piece figurine one, is also either like an X299 or an X99 paste system. Oh, look at this, I just noticed. That's definitely some dual CPU action in there. Because we went early on a Monday morning, a bunch of the shops were closed, but it was like losing a couple of drops of rain in a thunderstorm. And the thunderstorm soon revealed what would quickly become my favorite shop. This keyboard store had a bewildering array of custom keyboards in every shape, size, color, and switch. They've got keyboards with a whole bunch of different switches on so that you can test the switches to decide which one works for you. Ooh, this one's really nice. It also had the friendliest shopkeeper. He was just excited to see other people excited about his wares. I loved this place. But soon we had to return to our journey through the infinite madness that is the Yongsan Electronics Market. Now, next to the Logitech shop, which is already pretty exciting, there is a dedicated Noctua shop. That is madness. That's like dream stuff right there. Full selection of Noctua fans, even the little tiny ones, it's so cute. What's interesting is they've also got a bunch of tiny like chipset fans and stuff, which I didn't know Noctua also made. But you can buy them individually here. version of the RX 580 I've never seen before. This place has a whole bunch of 3D printers as well. That's really cool. We then discovered an umbilical cord connecting to another building full of tech stuff. If anything, this building was even more jam-packed, with stuff literally stacked floor to ceiling. So we've spent a while walking around this tech market, and it is very similar to the Shenzhen tech market, which is amazing. I love these kinds of places, and what's cool about this stuff here is that it's not just all current gen stuff. There's a whole bunch of like older laptops and graphics cards, so you can buy at pretty much any price point. And another thing is you don't really see customers walking around. Most of the activity is just people carting stuff around. So I think that all of these shops do most of their selling online, which is kind of similar to how it works in the Shenzhen tech markets and stuff now, so that kind of makes sense. But it's a shame because it's such a cool place to wander around shopping for stuff. You can even get a bunch of Celerons and stuff here under the pile of RAM. Got a bunch of gaming systems going as well with various component configurations. So with a bunch of these motherboards, you actually have CPU combos as well. So it's like CPU motherboard and then a Wraith cooler, all kind of pre-packaged like that for you, which is a really nice touch. It makes shopping here really, really easy. Look at that bad boy. Such a variety of hardware. And then here again is this hardware configuration, which seems very common for systems here. And below that is a used alternative with some more GPU power. And while you're at it, you can buy a $3 power supply for your hobby as an amateur arsonist. Again, a whole range. We've got from a GTX 200 series. That's amazing. I really like that you can get older stuff like that. Above that is your motherboard combos. 2700X with motherboard and cooler for about 150 Canadian dollars. And then up here is some newer graphics cards with like a 3060 Ti, or even like a 2060 going for about 180 Canadian dollars. So a lot of these shops have amazing showcase systems. Look at this one, it's beautiful. So this shop looks like they've got 2 systems of parts that they need to build, so whenever somebody's coming back, that's gonna happen. And soon after admiring the shop that makes every connector known to man, we made a shocking realization. Okay, it's starting to dawn on me that this place is potentially massive, because we just spent the last, I think, hour exploring one floor, and there's at least 4 of them. There's like a whole bunch up here as well. Initially, the additional floors seemed like more of the same, a bunch of shops with graphics cards and mechanical keyboards. But after just a bit of walking, the people started to thin out and were replaced by boxes. Lots and lots of boxes. Just so many boxes. How is there this much of it? Oh, this shop just has the most baller looking servers. And then just more Infinite stuff down there. That's a great shop name. Conveniently, if you get tired of your box safari, there are some booths to sleep in. And after hours of wandering around this wild maze, we remembered that there was another electronics market in a different part of the city that we still wanted to see. So we made a quick pit stop at the best shop in the world to buy some sexy mechanical keyboards at great prices, and then embarked on our 40-minute journey to another electronics market in the Gangnam district. Next, we decided to head over the river to the Kokuji Tech Mall, and what's really exciting about this one is that it's got a dedicated console area, so can't wait to see that. However, initially, Kookje was real disappointing. The escalators may have been fancy, but once you got into the floors, it just looked like an office building with some washing machines in it. Trying my best to hide my disappointment, we powered ahead, until we hit the 4th floor, where everything changed. This may be the single largest collection of hi-fi I have ever seen. Every speaker, amp, and source you can imagine, spanning decades. I was as giddy as a teenager that just discovered incognito mode. Massive Wilsons, look at that. What's so wild about this place is you wander around what looks like an open plan office, and then there's just a shop with a bunch of massive avant-garde horn speakers in it, which sells for a spleen-shattering $170,000. And then right next to that is another shop with just madness. It's everywhere. I have never seen this much hi-fi in one place ever before. This place is crazy. But unfortunately, we're not here for oil baron hi-fi. So soon I had to peel myself away and go in search of some gaming hardware. Although interestingly, on the 5th floor, there were a couple of pretty sad-looking used cell phone stores. And then when you get to the 6th floor, I mean, this is still exciting. It's not quite as exciting as the 4th floor, but there's also a lot of these PC stalls everywhere. Now, as with Yongsan, the flashier stores with all the piles of graphics cards live immediately around the escalator. But once you move deeper into the floor, it just descends into madness. And because every floor of Kukje is this massive semi-open plan office-esque space, it somehow manages to feel both emptier and much fuller than Yongsan. And there's just so much random stuff everywhere. So in between all of these shops selling various combinations of PC, it's just a random organ shop. It's one of the things that's so random about this space. It feels like you're walking around an office complex. Hey, look at that. It's one of those HP servers that we did a video on like 4 years ago. It's nice to see one of those standing around. But then we found something that thematically fits in with the whole looted middle management office vibe. And we've also noticed a whole bunch of printers with the ink mounted externally like this, and we can't really figure out why that is. Our best guess is that it's because it's a lot more ink than you can fit inside the printer and it's easier to change out, but it is pretty ratchet. You can also get a Glad-wrapped photocopier. Another thing that stood out to me in both the markets was that for a country that manufactures most of the world's high-end displays, most of the monitors you could buy looked like they were fished out of a dumpster behind a failing accounting firm. But after quite some time wandering around the couple of PC floors having a great time, some PC nudes poking out under the bit of tarp. Oh, there's even like a galley up there. In case you need to protect your galley, there is a katana hanging out underneath it. We decided to stop at a stall and buy our $1,000 gaming system, which meant discussing specs with another lovely shopkeeper. So we just negotiated for a $1,000 build with the nicest man ever. There are so many super friendly vendors here, it's cool. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it turns out. And the best part about it is we didn't have to get a $4,000 year-long membership like with Best Buy to get the system built. So we left our new friend to the very reasonably priced assembly of our new gaming system and headed to the console floor. As you get closer to the 9th floor, things get more figurine-y, and this is console gaming paradise. Look at all of this stuff. And this is one of like dozens of stores you can just see down there. And again, this place has just several generations of console stuff. And once we moved past the initial escalator line of shops, we were drowned in an ocean of figurines. And as we all know, where there is a swarm of anime figurines, there's always also a swarm of anime figurines. Oh my. This is clearly the hentai shop. Oh my god, it's everywhere. I don't know, Anna seems really excited by what's going on here. Yeah, look at her. Although apparently the anime figurines were just a small corner of a massive ecosystem. Again, these places feel infinite. You just walk and you just keep walking and there just keeps being more of this stuff. And this floor with its increasingly massive figurines was by far the most popular of any of the areas we've been in so far. Across from that is some full-sized Dragon Ball Z action. Oh, I need to just don't look at that. Yeah, Anna just made a really good point. This is like Akihabara without the super annoying music everywhere blaring at you. And with that realization, soon we found some more consoles. Oh, this CRT's had a life. And here you can try out the brand new Xbox 360. Now, unfortunately, the coolest shop on this console floor didn't want us filming in it, but I can still tell you about it. They have just a huge selection of older consoles standing around with an insane collection of games for each of the generations. So if you want some older console action, this mall's a really good place to go. But all of the naked anime figurines have gotten us really hungry, so I think with that we're gonna go get lunch and then we'll pick up our gaming system. But before we see what kind of gaming PC we got for $1,000, there's one more aspect of the South Korean PC gaming market we saw evidence of everywhere. Now the PC's not done yet, but it gives us a bit of time to talk about something we discovered while researching this trip. In South Korea, if you don't own a gaming PC, you can go to a PC LAN center and rent some time on one. And these centers are called PC bangs. And you see them everywhere walking around the city, just PC logos emblazoned everywhere. And we were lucky enough to have the owner of the first one we wandered into just show us around a bit, so let's check it out. When you first wander into your premium PC bang, you're greeted by a large space dripping with gamer energy. And then if you have a membership, you're paying about $1 for 40 minutes, but you can go up to a 2-day sprint. That's pretty badass. And then over here is without a membership, so then it costs a little bit more. You can't get it for as long, but obviously we don't live here, so that's what we're gonna do. And next to that screen are all the snacks and smoking room you could want. And there's even a kitchen where you can order meals from your PC without ever having to get up. And once you've paid for your time, you can decide between a setup with either a larger 240Hz display or smaller, super high refresh rate displays, depending on what kind of games you're playing. In terms of peripherals, you get a nice mechanical keyboard and you get a selection of 2 mice, so you can actually decide which one you want to use, which is pretty cool. Up there is your headset, and it is a headset, so it comes with a mic so that you can shout at strangers on the internet in your PC bang. It's awesome. And once you first log into your system of choice, it takes quite a while to fire up, but once it fires up, you immediately see why. The system immediately bombards you with ads and every bit of preloaded software imaginable. Now in terms of specs, all of these systems have an i5-12400, 16 gigs of RAM and an RTX 3060 in it. Now luckily they do come with a huge amount of games pre-installed, most of which I don't recognize, but that doesn't matter. And you can also log into your own Steam account if you want to play online using that. Oh, and in your rental they also include access to Netflix, Amazon Prime and a whole bunch of streaming services, which I think is a nice touch. And there are even couples seats. Ooh. You can also order and pay for a huge variety of food straight from your seat, so you legitimately never have to leave. In terms of gaming, I would definitely recommend the setup with the higher refresh rate Asus displays, because the ones that I was using wasn't particularly good. But the system ran the games well and the seats were very comfortable. Although despite the fact that they cleaned the setup after every use, the peripherals did feel a little bit like a grab handle in a heavily used Metro. They really are seeped in gamer. Oh, and the second your time runs out, the Windows instance just closes, deleting all of your game data, so you need to be real careful that you're not mid-round of Dota when that happens. But yeah, the PC bang was awesome, the owner was super accommodating, and I get why these are so popular. But with that, let's go pick up our $1,000 gaming system and see how that turned out. So we finally have our $1,000 gaming system that we bought from the nicest man ever. So I'm really excited to see what kind of job he did putting it together. Now in terms of accessories, we've gotten some SATA cables, screws, and a little wipey down cloth. Now interestingly, for the system, we did have to buy a full retail copy of Windows, which is outrageous, and that makes up like 10% of the cost of the system. So if we didn't have to do that, we may have been able to get some better components, but this thing's still going to be pretty powerful. Now in terms of the case, we've got some Zolman case with a whole bunch of ventilation on the front, the top and the back, which is good. And we even get 4 RGB fans in the box. Now in terms of I/O, it's perfectly fine, it's computery. We have a power supply that doesn't immediately look terrible, so that's good. But let's get the side panel off and then we can talk about the specs in the system. I mean, from here, it looks like he did a really good job in terms of cable management and stuff. And what's interesting about this, yeah, it was like 30 Canadian dollars for him to build the system, which interestingly is less than you would pay a month for the Best Buy subscription. And that didn't even include any labor cost. It's a reasonable side panel mechanism because you've at least got little nubbies that hold it in place. So that's very good. And then on the inside of the system, wow. Now the first thing that you'll notice is, unfortunately, we do have a stock Intel cooler. Ooh. Now, this cooler isn't completely terrible, especially for a 12400F. It should do a reasonable job, but we'll test that a little bit later. I couldn't fit a better cooler into the budget, and the person that helped us spec the system didn't seem particularly concerned about it. 32 gigs of DDR5 It is very generic sticks, so we don't have any heat sinks or whatever. But again, that should get the job done. It's dual channel, it's a lot of capacity, so that's nice. The motherboard is some B760 gigabyte variant. And then in terms of storage, we've got a 512 gig NVMe drive. We almost got a 1 terabyte Samsung 980, which is like a pretty fancy NVMe drive. But instead we got I think this is a WD SN850. Oh, never mind, it's not 4. We've got 6 fans. There's 2 more in the top. Now our biggest splurge was definitely the graphics card. This is an RTX 4060. It's a 3-fan variant. We did almost get an RTX 3050, but it was the 6 gig version of it, and there was no way I was gonna buy another one of those pieces of crap. But generally, in terms of cable management, he did an excellent job. Look at all the cable ties under here. It's such a neat run. And back at the apartment, I took the back off to reveal a human centipede of Molex connectors for the fans. Ugh. But in all fairness, it has been beautifully cable managed. And I've never heard of the power supply before, but it's got a Cybernetics bronze rating, so it likely isn't a complete dumpster fire. So I guess now all that's left to do is we gotta take it back to the apartment and see how it runs. It's so heavy because the shell is aluminium. The whole reason a keyboard like this is exciting is... Oh, I think this was $90. Although even before firing up this system, I noticed a problem. This motherboard doesn't have a Wi-Fi card in it, and there's no Ethernet in this random room that I'm in at the moment. Although, apparently you can use your iPhone as a modem, so we'll see if we can do that. But first, let's power it on. Ooh, so much of light. Hey, there we go. But my A was short-lived, because despite the internet making it look real easy, I just couldn't get my iPhone to work as a modem. So I've spent the last hour trying to get my phone to connect to the PC as a modem. Now this is something which, according to the entire internet, is super straightforward. You just plug it in, allow personal hotspot, and it works. The problem is, it doesn't work like that because you need iTunes drivers, apparently. So I downloaded iTunes on a device that does have Wi-Fi, and I've installed it on here, but it still doesn't work. Now when I install iTunes on the laptop with internet connected to it, then it works, because clearly iTunes needs to download the drivers. So as far as I understand it, you need internet on the device that you're trying to get internet on in order to get your phone to get internet on the device that doesn't have internet on it. Which is just the most Apple thing ever. But anyway, I've decided that I'm just gonna go buy a Wi-Fi card. Okay, so I'm back from the tech mall. This was the option I could find. It's not ideal, but it'll give us internet, so that's fine. And when it comes to the system's gaming performance, it was good. Yay, we finally have gaming happening after a whole morning of struggling. But this is Cyberpunk at 1080p Ultra settings, and our 4060 based system is handling it well. Oh, CPU-wise, the temperatures are... It kind of hovers between acceptable and hairy occasionally. While we were loading into the game, it would hit high 80s, which isn't ideal, and it's a little bit whiny. But aside from that, the system is running very well. We've got a huge amount of RAM, and at 1080p, it's good. But I'm curious to see where the temperatures top out. So let's drive around a bit and see where this goes. It's been a while of me driving around, and it's getting toasty. It occasionally jumps up to very high 80 degrees Celsius, and it's pretty noisy. But to be fair, for a stock Intel cooler, this is actually kind of wild performance. The fact that it's not running 2000 degrees Celsius is impressive. But generally, we got a lot of performance out of our $1,000 system. At 1080p, the system will run the crap out of most games, and it's only when you push the CPU really hard that temperatures get a bit hairy. And the fact that the assembly was so cheap means nobody needs to use a pre-built here. And with that, South Korean tech markets are awesome, and if you ever have an opportunity to go check them out, I'd highly recommend it. Everybody's also very friendly and accommodating, so it's just generally a really nice experience. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, maybe watch another video, suggestion will pop up in a second. And until the next video, thank you for watching. Bye bye.